eagerness, the brothers break cover too soon. The advantage of surprise is lost. It's not uncommon for buffalo to retaliate. They take to the trees. Besieged, they will remain there until the buffaloes lose interest. For now, they must contemplate their failure in safety.
For 12 years, I have reigned as lord of my domain. I have hunted, and I have fought and won many battles. This land has nurtured me and my legacy. But now, my age wells up without a sound. It is no longer possible for me to live proudly, but I shall die so, knowing I have two sons who will continue my bloodline and the legacy that is the brotherhood. My family has lived in this region of Mpumalanga Province, South Africa, for generations. Known as the Lowveld, it's a vast expanse of land where nature is the supreme authority and we, the lions, its sovereign lords. But it was not always so. We were not always kings of this wild place. 150 years ago, Europeans arrived in the area. They came with wagons, livestock, and expectations, and began to impose their law of control and division on the bush. They built fences and roads, and ruled this land with the civilization of the bullet. Then, the Kruger National Park was proclaimed. More fences were erected. Migratory routes severed. Game populations dwindled. And cattle became the obvious alternative for us. We in turn were preyed upon by guns and greed. This land is soaked in the blood of my ancestors.
It took 80 years for the slaughter to end, before a new dawn brought men a vision. Men who realized the value of what they had been destroying. They began to restore and nurture the land and all who lived by it. Now the fences have come down between the Kruger National Park and the old lions' hunting grounds. A new era of cooperation between man and wildlife saw the return of large herds of antelope and wildlife in all its majestic diversity roaming free once again. The great predators reclaimed their birthright as lords of the Lowveld. Londolozi Game Reserve has led the way in changing human attitudes towards wildlife. It was one of the first places outside the Kruger Park to give the land back to the animals. One of Londolozi's resident prides lives within a 15.5 square mile territory. It consists of 4 females and their 12 cubs, some still infants, others from earlier litters. 2 males control the harem. Collectively, they're known as the Sparta Pride, a tightly knit social unit that depends on keeping its territory intact and safe from rivals. Their territory is bordered by the Magnoletti and Sand rivers, and the 2 males have ruled over it for 4.5 years. Trespassing in Sparta territory are 2 brothers, the legacy of the old male lion. The brothers head for Palapala Kopi, the heart of Sparta territory. Driven by the biological desire to procreate, the brothers ascend the Kopi to survey the vicinity. If they are to continue their bloodline, they must stake their claim. From the vantage point, they see the Sparta Pride resting in the heat of the day. They take stock of its size, noting the condition and age of the 2 pride males. They are past their prime. Conflict is inevitable. The veterans will defend their territory and their pride against all pretenders to the throne. Unaware of the approaching danger, the Sparta Pride is relaxed, sapped by the day's heat. A perfect time to attack. The brothers move in. Should the takeover be successful, the brothers will kill the cubs without delay. But first, they must destroy the older males. A 3-month-old cub has escaped the carnage. Separated from its mother, it is defenseless and will probably not last the night. Victorious coup d'etat accomplished. The king is dead. Long live the kings. Escaped, wounded, his genetic line now depends on his cub's survival. Male lions won't invest the time or energy required to raise a rival's genes. Infanticide takes place during and after the conquest. Natural selection impartially harvests all but the strong. The cub must find its mother. herds of Sparta broadcast their victory throughout the night. In the aftermath, the cub and its mother call for each other all night, and if necessary, for days to come. Bitten through the spine, the cub is mortally wounded. It is oblivious to the perils of the night which surround him. The sun rises, indifferent to the previous day's carnage. Miraculously, some have survived. Once again reunited, the lioness knows there can be no going back. She will have to fend for them both. Her sister and 4 cubs also escaped the onslaught. The deposed king's genes are now in their care. They leave Sparta forever. The brothers' objective is to firmly establish their right as landlords and survey their new territory. By roaring, they make sure that all know the balance of power has changed. Lions leave telltale scratch marks on prominent trees, an unmistakable defining of boundaries. At regular intervals for as long as their tenure holds, they scent mark with urine and feces. Patrolling their territory is an ongoing exercise. They constantly signal ownership and send clear messages that any dispute over their land claim will be met with force. The 2 remaining females are wary. It will be several days before they are satisfied with the new leadership. The death of their cubs catalyzed their estrus cycles, a biological response designed to ensure they recover the loss of their offspring as soon as possible. These 2 females are now the nucleus of the new pride. They need the new brothers to hold this territory for the next 3 years if they are to successfully raise cubs. Males test female receptivity by a process called flamen. He tests her urine, then curls his tongue back, placing it over the entrance of the organ of Jacobson. This organ informs him of the exact state of her estrus cycle. Inevitably, the question of sex is dealt with. For every litter sired, lions can mate 3,000 times, making them more sexually prolific than human beings. Of all cats, the lion is second in size only to the Siberian tiger and is the largest land predator in Africa. They can live to 15 years in the wild and more in captivity. The male in his prime weighs in excess of 440 pounds. With massive forearms and a thick protective mane, he's designed to fight. It's not only sheer power that has given the king of the beasts his title. It's in their unmistakable air of majesty. Females are almost half the male's weight. At 260 pounds, they are lighter and better hunters than their masculine cohorts. Although they can reach 36 miles per hour, some of their prey are faster. So lions like these in Kenya use stealth to approach. Benefiting from numbers, cooperative hunting techniques are carried out with the efficiency of special forces. Wherever lions are in Africa, typically only 1 in 4 hunts end successfully. End of winter. The Manyaleti River has dried up, but the other river in the territory, the Sand, is still flowing and has become the magnet for all of Londolosi's wildlife. Congregating en masse, a diversity of creatures share the last water in the area. Until the rainy season begins, both prey and predator will cohabit around the source of life, water. "110 days after conception, the lionesses have given birth to a second generation of the old lion's legacy. They've chosen Pala Pala, a well-secluded nursery. Weighing in at about 3.5 pounds, the cubs are like any newborn kittens, blind and completely helpless. The male's role in their new family is the protector and sometimes co-provider. They will play no part in raising the litter. Development happens quickly. In 8 weeks, they can run. Their instinct to explore is tempered only by the parents' instinct to protect. To avoid a scent buildup, the cubs are moved to a different den in order to evade detection by rivals. Hyenas, leopards, wild dogs, and other lions will kill them, given the chance. The females mated, conceived, and gave birth at the same time. Among their 7 newborn, 4 are males, grandsons of the old male. They are the youngest members of the legacy of the Brotherhood. Should they reach adulthood, the 4 brothers will become a formidable force. The females nurse communally. This enhances the cubs' security and their chances of survival. While one suckles both litters, the other is free to hunt. Leaving her cubs in her sister's care, the second mother scouts for potential prey. She sights a herd of giraffe. One would feed more than a whole family. Lions don't normally hunt adult giraffe. They're as dangerous as buffalo. One kick would shatter their skull. Seeing a potential threat, one of the giraffes runs toward the Sand River. Curiosity aroused, the lioness follows. In its panic, the giraffe slips and breaks a leg. Despite desperate efforts, it is unable to lift its 1.5-ton body. And in a short while, the world's tallest animal drowns in ankle-deep water. Unable to keep her prize safe on her own, the lioness goes for reinforcements. First to arrive, one of the brothers approaches the giraffe warily. While he may rule the land, crocodiles hold the water, and caution must be exercised. Despite being ancient rivals, sometimes crocs and lions benefit one another. In this case, the crocs can't bite through the giraffe's thick hide and must wait patiently in the wings for the lions to open up the carcass. The rest of the pride is in no rush. There's ample food for all. The cubs are last in the pecking order and suckle on the bank while their fathers feast. The brothers have had enough. Now the carcass is available for the crocs. By dawn, the crocodiles are well fed and the lions well rested. Now they come back for a second helping. Lions will gorge themselves when there's extra food and eat up to 25% of their body weight at one sitting. The crocodiles have made short work of the soft underbelly, but there are hundreds of pounds left and many mouths still to feed. As the land warms and thermals start to rise, flocks of vultures take to the sky, nature's undertakers. Alerted by the feathered undertakers, a nomadic lion comes to investigate. Recently ousted from his family, he's in unknown territory. He's ignored the brothers' territorial markings. Utilizing his immense strength, his instinct is to haul the carcass from the danger of the crocodiles. It is an extraordinary feat. Intruder evicted, the entire pride can now enjoy the feast on land. Compliments of the nomad. The cubs are 8 weeks old, time to be weaned. They're only tolerated because the males are glutted and there's enough to go around. Like all cats, the natural inclination is to play with, and whenever possible, on one's food. Spring rain at least brings a sparkle and a flourish to the dry bush, resulting in a proliferation of life, new birth, rejuvenation. The water initiates a sudden eruption of energy, and life in its endless flux bursts forth everywhere. Nature's supply is superabundant. From the nutrient-rich soil sprout tiny seeds and flowers, supplying sustenance for thousands of different insects, birds, and animals. These, the smallest elements of life, are a vital link in the maintenance of a healthy ecosystem. Masked weavers build their nest high above the ground, an indication it's going to be a wet season. Perfectly suitable for those who enjoy an aquatic lifestyle. Animals give birth to coincide with early rains when there's plenty of food. Such perfect timing is inherent, an inbuilt mechanism to improve the chances of survival. Immediate mobility is their greatest protection. With the proliferation of newborn, it's a prosperous time for predators. A cheetah mother takes advantage of the vulnerable young to teach her cubs hunting skills. She won't interfere in their hunt, allowing them to learn from their mistakes. They have yet to develop a killer instinct, the way of finishing off the job quickly. By the time they're 20 months old, they'll be experts. It's a time for learning, and when mother demonstrates how to use forearms, the cubs mimic her in play. They're 7 months old when experience is the greatest teacher. They must learn that the easiest catch sometimes yields nothing. And that small animals like this Legavan can be tricky customers. Snakes are best left alone. And keep away from the back end of a porcupine. 20 million years ago, the ancestors of lions began to leave the safety of the trees. They moved from the woodlands to the savannas and no longer needed spots for camouflage in the forest's dappled light. Still, their common ancestry with leopards is evident in the cubs, who keep their spots until fully grown. The old lion's grandsons must be fed every day. Hunting is a full-time job for the mothers. The youngster's innate curiosity investigates everything and everyone. But armor-plated giants are not an option. Though given half a chance, mature lions will attack a rhinoceros calf. out in the early evening, the lionesses select a plentiful target, impala. A lion's night vision is 6 times more acute than our own. The reflective layer on the back of their eyes, known as the tapetum lucidum, bounces all available light back onto the rods and cones of the eyes, enhancing their night vision. One small impala won't satisfy 11 large appetites. The females will have to hunt again. They eat as fast as possible, knowing those pirates, their male consorts, are not far off. The evolutionary pressure on the males toward increased size is balanced by the penalty of an increased requirement for food. The smaller the meal, the more violent the dispute. When it comes to flesh and blood, there is no brotherly love. Incessant piracy forces the lionesses to hunt during daylight hours when the strike rate is much lower. Continual hunger drives them toward a herd of wildebeest. The cubs watch their mothers from the sidelines, observing cooperation and communication, perfectly honed, timing split second. Instead of throttling it, she uses a different killing technique, suffocating it by clamping the mouth and nose closed, a technique she would not use on a zebra. Unlike wildebeest, they can bite. This time, the kill is large enough to feed the whole family, including the brothers. Left for last, tough hide and fur are consumed as easily as flesh and make good dietary roughage. Felines are fastidious creatures, and grooming takes place especially after feeding. It's one of the many sociable acts which strengthen family ties and the cohesiveness of the pride. The rough, sandpapery tongue efficiently removes irritating parasites, and saliva is a natural disinfectant for any wounds or scratches. bonding act is indulged with relish. The old lion's 4 grandsons are reaching maturity. At about 2.5 years, they will become sexually active, and their fathers will evict them. The hardest part of their lives as nomads will then begin. It will be a daunting initiation to independence, and they will have to stick together and cooperate if they are to survive. When the brothers leave the pride behind, they enter the rites of passage into adulthood. It will entail hunger, desperation, and many life-threatening encounters. As a foursome, it will be that much easier for them when the time comes to take over their own pride and hold the territory. The force of numbers will ensure success. Like human adolescents, they learn through adversity, and the more hard knocks they can survive, the stronger and wiser they'll be. For now, their bravado lacks experience, their courage lacks discernment. This ongoing feud between buffalo and lion persists whenever their paths cross. Some prides have specialized in hunting buffalo. For most, it remains an opponent that demands respect. At this age, the lion's lesson is to pick on someone more their own size, and that even future kings must sometimes choose discretion before valor. Lion's reputation as a successful hunter is somewhat exaggerated. More often than not, and particularly at this age, they're successful thieves and scavengers. Nomadic lions will scavenge whatever scraps come their way. They're not fussy, and even maggot-infested carcasses will do. But this makes them highly susceptible to killer diseases like anthrax. Passed mainly through buffalo, this bacterial disease can kill within 4 days and decimate entire populations within months. The 4 brothers have become infected. The legacy of the old lion is in danger of being lost forever. Unlike their forefathers, their survival is a high priority for conservationists. Without the intervention of people, the brothers would die. However, by saving their lives, the old lion's bloodlines will be preserved, and so will the majesty of the King of Beasts. These men of vision have shown that returning the habitat to its former glory is to the benefit of all species, including our own. Through their foresight, they created a new industry, ecotourism. Valuable revenue earned ensures that the wild is put back into our lives and that the call of Africa will continue to beckon.
My grandsons will continue to fight, hunt, and procreate long after I have gone. Just as their reign is beginning, the end of my time has come. They do have one distinct advantage over our ancestors. People are on their side. Soon all will go quiet for me. But I go in peace, knowing that for the land of my ancestors and the legacy of the Brotherhood, the song will go on.